The presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku, yesterday reassured Nigerians that if elected president next year, he would ensure that men and women who will form his cabinet were appointed strictly based on merit and federal character. Atiku said this in a brief telephone chat with This Day. The former vice president said, unlike the current All Progressive Congress APC administration of President Muhammadu Buhari, which had been widely accused of open nepotism in filling up key positions, his government would ensure that all geographical zones were equally represented in appointments into the cabinet. He also challenged his APC counterpart, Bola Tinubu, to reveal his name and background. Atiku, while addressing supporters at the Dan I Am Stadium in Owerri, also said business and trade will pick up again if elected in 2023. Our Rise correspondent Punaraman Benjamin tells us more.
Here are supporters of the People's Democratic Party at the Dan I Am Stadium in Owerri, the Imo State capital. They are here to show support to the presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar, who is accompanied by his running mate and other top officials of the party. Atiku says he will build industries that will help promote commercial activities in the East.
I know that you are businessmen, I know that you are traders, and so on and so forth. I want to assure you that if I have the opportunity and you elect me, business, trading will pick up again. Do you know why I say it will pick up again? Because in my policy document, I said I am going to set aside $10 billion just to empower women and young men in business.
The party's chairman, while appreciating supporters and other party members, called on all unhappy members of the party to bury their grievances and join hands to ensure victory for the party.
You need to win with unity. The party has to be united. I want to make it clear to everybody, we will not accept division in our party. Everybody must work together to produce victory.
The chairman, Atiku's campaign council and governor of Akwa Ibom State says Nigeria's economy will blossom once the PDP takes back power.
Where you find the spirit of entrepreneurship is where? In Igbo land. That right from the time I was younger, when you want to buy any shoes, where did you go to? Aba, Igbo land. By that time, we were all joined together.
The PDP presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar has been campaigning in the southeastern part of Nigeria. The question is whether the supporters he has gathered will enable him win the elections in 2023 is what Nigerians will be waiting to see. Punaraman Benjamin, Arise News.
All right, we'll take comments on this, Ayo.
Very briefly, that video, the campaign report, just demonstrates what he said during his chat with This Day, that he's the presidential candidate that's traversed across the country the most in terms of visiting the geopolitical zones of Nigeria, and there he was in Imo State. However, beyond that, let's look at the his what he said during that chat, which I'd just like to center on his appointments being based on merit and federal character. Now, that conversation has been ongoing, particularly again under this administration of the APC-led President Muhammadu Buhari administration, where he's come under criticism a number of times for his appointment, and even famously in 2021 when he was challenged for appointing the chairman and secretary of the Federal Character Commission, which is set to ensure that there's federal character is represented both from the same geopolitical zone, from the same region. Now, the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999 Constitution as amended in Section 14, subsection 3, makes a provision for federal character, meaning that, in order to promote unity, a sense of unity, national unity, that there should be federal character for federal appointments. It states that the composition of government of the Federation or any of its agencies and the conduct of its affairs shall be carried out in such a manner as to reflect the federal character of Nigeria and the need to promote national unity, command national loyalty, thereby ensuring, and it goes on. I just want to point out the fact that it has come up a number of times in terms of the fact that at this sensitive time in our nation, it is important to promote unity. Now, one of the things, the argument for that is that sometimes federal character is, or merit is sacrificed on the altar of federal character. And this has been a debate for so long. Therefore, the importance of him talking about the fact that despite his appointments being compliant with the federal character provisions of the Constitution, he would ensure that there's merit. We're going to be watching because as he's talked about and as the presidential candidates go around campaigning, they keep talking about the promotion of unity. Don't forget that in the event where citizens don't feel like they are well represented or their interests are represented, it could sometimes give rise to agitations from several groups. We have seen the rise of these groups in recent times, particularly under this administration. These are some of the things that the next president will have to deal with, and perhaps paying close attention to equitable distribution of responsibilities and appointments would be a key factor.
Dr. Abachi?
Okay. The presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party has been busy in the last few days. He was in Anambra, he's gone to Imo, he was also in the Federal Capital Territory on Saturday. But from the video that was shown, the key point, which Ayo focused on, about merit and federal character, maybe I should spend some time on that. Now, the federal character principle is a creation of the Constitution. So when a candidate tells you he's going to ensure federal character, he doesn't have a choice in the matter. To the extent that the president of Nigeria is expected to uphold the law. Part 1 of the third schedule of the 1999 Constitution creates a body called the Federal Character Commission, whose function is to monitor and ensure compliance with the principle of federal character, which is enshrined in Section 14, subsection 3 of the same 1999 Constitution. And that came about after the Constitution Drafting Committee, Commission of 1976 decided to amend the Nigerian Constitution and insert that clause in the 1979 Constitution, and it remains there in the 1999 Constitution. What is the whole idea? You've stated it, to promote a sense of belonging, a sense of unity, a sense of loyalty. After the Civil War, one of the realizations was that ethnicity is a major issue in Nigeria and is proven to be very divisive. So one of the attempts to ensure national integration, to ensure unity, was the introduction of that Section 14, subsection 3. And it applies in everything, in politics, in education, in appointments. And that's why Section 147, subsection 3 of the same Constitution states very clearly that every appointment into the federal cabinet must be in conformity with Section 14, subsection 3. It is also the same reason why we are having this argument over composition of the NDDC board, with people quoting the law, NDDC Act, Section 1, subsection 12, and all of that. Okay, so federal character is a major issue for us in Nigeria. The reason why the reference to it by Atiku Abubakar is important is that he said one of the major complaints about the Buhari administration is that the Buhari administration has made lopsided appointments, seems to favor one part of the country better than the other, whereas the Constitution says no part should dominate the other. And Section 42 of the same 1999 Constitution tells us nobody shall be discriminated against on the basis of ethnicity, religion, or extraction. So it's a constitutional matter. So it's not stating anything extraordinary when it says we observe federal character. However, federal character principle has been very controversial, particularly in the education sector. And there are persons who are saying that if we're going to run a country by merit, maybe we should review federal character application, find a sunset clause into it so that we just create space for competition. And that takes me to the second point about merit. Of course, we don't expect that whoever wins, whether it's PDP or APC, will come up with a cabinet of incompetent people. This is a country of over 200 million people, and there are persons of merit from every part of Nigeria. So no part of Nigeria can say we have all the best people. And, that kind of diversity, pluralism, will promote inclusiveness. The other word, apart from integration, is inclusiveness. So, but he said a lot of other things. He will review the constitution. He will restructure Nigeria. He will make his presidency a stepping stone to Igbo presidency. He will set aside $10 billion for the promotion of the interests of women and children, and a host of other things. Where politicians make promises, the taste of the pudding is in the eating. Whoever emerges, they should just remember that there's something called public memory, and we will remember, and we'll take them to account, and we would assess them on the basis of their own promises.
And here we have limited time, so I'll be as quick as possible. I'll just make 2 ground points. Number 1 on federal character, the second one on the other commitment. Number 1, federal character. We've talked about this, try to integrate. The question we should ask ourselves is, why is it that we have not built Nigerians? Why is it that we've built a polarized nation with people from different ethnic groups? Not a single entity. I keep quoting Maximilian Zeglo. He said, we've built Italy, we need to build Italians. We've not built Nigerians because the polarity favors the politicians. The division, the North and the South and the East favors them because of their tribal sentiments. That was what was done since the First Republic. This was what was expounded upon in the Lancaster House talk. That's why the British, to settle our problems, gave us different regions. If we truly want to build Nigeria, our politicians should come together and know that irrespective of where you come from, you are Nigerian first. And that's why you see even this federal cavata keeps dividing us even further. Oh, in the spirit of inclusion, we've started preaching division. Some people are favored because they're from certain areas over the others. The best way to nullify all of this is, let's even start by not having state of origin. If people don't know where you are from in Nigeria, then we can start to build the strands of inclusion. We set up schemes like the NYC and everything, but even with now, people are working to favor themselves for their NYC posting because they don't want to be from a certain area. So there's no point about inclusion any longer. It's only what suits ourselves. The way to this is, let's not even have state of origin. Let where you come from do not matter. Let your last name do not matter. Let people treat you based on fairness and equity. That's the future for Nigeria. And secondly, like the presidential candidate of the PDP asked about the name of the candidate and everything, I think politics should also be about character. Everybody should be able to release any data as regards who they truly are and bring it to the fore. Let us know the schools they attended. Let us know their names. Let them address everything concerning them so we can have a robust campaign, so we can know the candidates truly. It is time for all the candidates to do like an audit on themselves and like a KYC for the Nigerian people. Let us even know them. Let's have medical records. Let's have tax returns. Let's have everything so we can get the best person possible. But it behoves on us to build Nigerians. And we have not built Nigerians. That's why we keep looking for schemes like federal character to bring about inclusion.